What are you so afraid of losing? Today on Fortitude through Stoicism. And this is my 365-day journey of implementing the ancient philosophy of Stoicism into the life of this modern masculine man. The quote today by Seneca. Again, remember Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome. You are afraid of dying, but come on. How is this life of yours anything but death? So Seneca was telling an amazing story about this obscenely wealthy Roman who was carried around on a litter by slaves. And on one occasion, he was lifted out of the bath and the Roman asked, "Am I sitting down yet?" Now, I know most of us aren't carried around on a litter by slaves, and we aren't hoisted out of the tub by people. But Seneca's point was essentially this: what kind of sad and pathetic life is it if you're so disconnected from the world that you don't even know if you're on the ground? How did this man even know he was alive at all, right? So this is Seneca's story. And Ryan Holiday tells us that, listen, most of us are afraid of dying. But sometimes this fear begs the question, to protect what exactly? For a lot of people, the answer is this. What, more scrolling on social media? More TV, right? More complaining, more bitching, more moaning, more gossiping, more wasting your potential, more complaining about the job that you have, or, complaining about how bored you are, so on and so forth. So what is it exactly that you're worried about losing? And this is the question, right? So except in the strictest sense, is this actually a life, right, that most of us lead? Is this worth gripping so tightly and being afraid of losing? So what are we losing, right? What are you losing if you lose your life? Good question, right? So I have to ask myself that question. What am I losing, right? Well, I've made commitments to a lot of people, to take care of a lot of people. And I'm on a path of philanthropy. And so if my life ends, a lot of people will continue going on, right? I'm nothing special, right? That's why I'm also not afraid of death, is because I've lived my life. I have. I've done the things. I've checked the boxes. I've had the experiences. Now, I hope, right? It'd be great if I live many, many, many more years, but it is what it is. So I'm going to shift this a little bit. I'm going to talk about suffering, right? Because suffering, in essence, is the fear of losing. And we're not just talking about death. We're talking about everything in our life. Money, job, possessions. But let's focus on loved ones, right? This is something that I used to do, and it makes me sick to now even admit. I used to have so little self-confidence that in my relationships, I would smother people. I would wrap my arms around them so tightly because I was afraid of losing them. And because I didn't have emotional control, and because I didn't do the work and didn't embrace the 4 agreements, I took everything personally. I made a shit ton of horrible assumptions. And that ultimately led me to being a very weak and unmasculine-like man. We'll call it toxic energy. It's disgusting. And I'm glad I learned. I'm glad I changed. I'm glad now that I have so much confidence in who I am. I don't need to smother somebody. because I know that it is a gift to be in my presence. And I'm not just saying that to be obnoxious. I'm saying it to be truthful. Why? Because I elevate people. Why? Because I hold people accountable to their goals. Why? Because I live a disciplined lifestyle. When you spend time around people like that, you naturally take on those habits. So yes, I'm a force multiplier in anybody's life. So I don't need to smother them. In fact, I don't chase. I communicate. But now that I've done this work, when I'm around other people who don't have emotional control or confidence in who they are or respect for our relationship and dynamic, then I get really frustrated. We are adults. You are responsible for your traumas and triggers. It is not okay to take your emotional bullshit because you don't know how to deal with it and dump it in someone else's lap because you're afraid of losing them, let's just say. But I want you to think for a minute. Isn't the behavior that you are displaying contributing to the potential of losing that person? Think about this for a minute. What are you so afraid of losing? Because if we're talking about in the context of a relationship or dynamic, if you lose that person, you never really had that person. They're voluntarily with you. No matter how much force or coercion you do on your part, you are not going to be able to keep that person. So even in my world, where I believe in power exchange relationships, dominant, submissive, etc., and so forth, it is not through control. It is not through domineering. It is simply through influence. It is through respect. So in my relationships, business, and in life, I'm not afraid of losing them because I have faith and I have confidence in the power in that connection. And if it's not there, I'm certainly not going to force it. So again, if the connection isn't strong enough and it dissipates, it was meant to be. Life is impermanent. I am not going to get in emotional torment worrying about what may or may not happen with something that is not mine and not within my control. I wish people would hear me on this one. I wish they would stop what they're doing right now and just have confidence in who they are. Have confidence in the person and the life they live. And if you are in jeopardy of losing someone, no matter how tightly you grab on, it will not work. It is all about being the very best person you can be and influencing that person to want to be with you. So if you are annoying and you are toxic, no. Any healthy person will reject that. So what are you so afraid of losing? That's the question we must ask. And for me, I don't have a fear. I don't have a fear of losing anything because what I've realized in my life, that every single thing that I've ever viewed as a loss has simply been a door to another opportunity. And that's if I really did lose it. A lot of times it's right here, right? Right here. So I'm going to wrap today. We got a week left. We got a week left. This journey has changed my entire life. And it's a life that I am no longer afraid of losing, because it is a life that I am finally proud of living. And on that, shower time.